We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Tuesday, August 18th here in Seoul. I'm Lee Soo-jin, and this is News Generation. Joining today is Chu.
Hello, Soo-jin.
Good to see you, and also Chu's with us.
Great to be here.
And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So it's the start of a new work week following Monday's substitute holiday for Korea's Liberation Day. And with a long weekend behind us, it's time to get back into the rhythm of everyday life. But before we do, let's take a look at one of Seoul's busiest neighborhoods and see what's drawing people there. So, Jian, have you been to Dongdaemun lately?
Yes, I have been to Dongdaemun lately. I think it was several weeks ago I went to Dongdaemun area. Well, I happened to be passing through the area and stopped by some places and a popular Korean street food made with, I ate some tteokbokki, spicy rice cakes, that is in English. But I've been going to Dongdaemun since I was little. Back then, I used to go there for shopping, mainly for shopping, like visiting Tuta Mall or Hello APM, which is still there. Which there are popular fashion shopping malls in Dongdaemun area, and the old street markets around where DDP or Dongdaemun Design Plaza is now. I have lots of fond memories of that area. Well, these days I go for rather different reasons. I've been to DDP for design exhibitions and also hosted several events there. And I've also been to Seoul Fashion Week, which is always quite interesting. And the area has changed a lot though. Many restaurants around the fashion malls now cater mainly to tourists, but I still love walking around Hungin-jimun area. Hungin-jimun, one of Seoul's historic city gates, located in Dongdaemun district, and is also commonly known as Dongdaemun Gate. So you get this lovely mix of old Seoul and modern Seoul in one single place.
Right, so what about you, Chu?
Well, not recently. Well, actually, I don't remember the last time I went there, and I think it's because I still had this old image of Dongdaemun in my head. When I heard Dongdaemun, I mostly thought of clothes, fabric, and wholesale markets. So I never really had reasons to go there. So I was actually quite surprised to find out how popular some of these old markets have become with younger people, especially because normally when we talk about trendy places in Seoul, we think of somewhere new, like Seongsu or a lot of like pop-up stores in Hongdae. But Dongdaemun is almost the opposite. A lot of the places have been there for years. So I think it's interesting that younger people are not necessarily looking for something completely new anymore. They're finding something new in an old place.
And sometimes you don't need to create something new to make a place trendy, as we can see from Dongdaemun. You just need a new generation to see it differently. And that's why we're going to talk more about this. But first, let's take a look at the screen.
South Korea's Dongdaemun district, located in the heart of Seoul, has long been known as a hub for textiles, fashion, and traditional markets. For decades, it was a place where older generations came to shop for fabrics, clothes, and various other goods. But these days, Dongdaemun is attracting a whole new crowd, with younger Koreans discovering a different side of the neighborhood. So today on News Generation, we're taking a closer look at what's drawing young people to Dongdaemun, why they are falling for its unique charm, and how foreign visitors can make the most of their time there.
As you just saw in the video, Dongdaemun isn't just a shopping district. It's a place where Seoul's past and present come together. So let's find out what exactly about Dongdaemun is making it so popular again. So to start with the basics, where exactly is Dongdaemun located?
Well, Dongdaemun is actually located in central Seoul, and there is a station, Dongdaemun Station as well. And it is around Hungin-jimun and DDP. But in order to understand exactly what we mean by Dongdaemun, we've got to study some history. Let's go back to a few hundred years. Well, during the Joseon dynasty, Seoul, then called Hanya, was much smaller than it is today. The city was was surrounded by a fortress wall with 4 main gates marking each direction. So inside the gates was Seoul, but outside it wasn't Seoul. The 4 main gates were 흥인지문 in the east, Dongdaemun in the west, Sungdaemun in the south, and in the northern part it was Sukjeongmun. Well, Dongdaemun, it actually means Great East Gate, and it was the common name for 흥인지문 Gate. And during the Japanese colonial period, the gates came to be commonly referred to as Dongdaemun, Seodaemun, Namdaemun, and 북daemun. So today, the historic gates are protected as cultural heritage sites and are officially known by their original names. However, the simpler names have stuck in the surrounding areas, Dongdaemun Market, Seodaemun Station, and Namdaemun Market, and so on. So when we say Dongdaemun, we generally we mean the area around 흥인지문, the old Eastern Gate. So there's also an administrative district called Dongdaemun District, Dongdaemun District, although it covers a rather different area. So Dongdaemun is where old Seoul meets new Seoul, history outside, hip inside, and that is Dongdaemun.
So Dongdaemun is more than just the name of a market. It actually has a fascinating history that Shin told us about that's tied to Seoul's old city walls and gates. And that long history is actually a big part of what makes Dongdaemun so interesting today. So what is exactly drawing younger generations to this rather older neighborhood nowadays?
Well, I think one of the biggest reasons is that there are so many things to discover there. For example, flea market has become really popular with younger people. It used to be more popular with older generations, but now young Koreans and even a lot of foreign tourists visit there for vintage shopping. And the price range is huge. You can find really cheap secondhand clothes for like 5,000 won, but if you're lucky, you can also find secondhand designer items. So you really never know what you're going to find. And right next to Dongmyo, there's also the Changsindong stationery and toy market. And you can find things like slangi, the slime squishy toys, and keycaps, and all kinds of small collectibles for pretty affordable prices. And I think that's part of the fun. You're not just going there to buy one specific thing. You walk around, look through everything, and sometimes find something completely unexpected. So shopping there almost feels a little like a treasure hunt.
I mean, we just saw some footage of that street, and I have to say, I was there actually a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to tell you, it's filled with people. There's so many people there. So I would advise, it's so popular to a point where I would advise actually going to the weekdays because of how popular and how crowded it has become. And so from vintage fashion to quirky toys that we saw in the footage, Dongdaemun seems to have something for every kind of treasure hunter and collector. And for those who love getting creative with their own style, there's even more to discover. So what else can you find at Dongdaemun's markets, Jiyoung?
Yes, well, Jiyoung has already introduced lots of great places in Dongdaemun area to experience and to do. Well, Dongdaemun Market is also getting a fresh lease of life thanks to Korea's younger generation. One of the biggest draws is a selection selling craft supplies and accessories that include colorful beads, jelly-like charms, and all sorts of little decorative pieces. Well, these shops traditionally catered mainly to wholesale buyers, but now with more tourists and younger shoppers and foreigners coming in, many have now started selling retail as well. And just across the road at Dongdaemun Shoe Market, there is another trend taking off. Younger shoppers buy jelly shoes and personalize them with tiny charms and accessories as well. Well, in Korea, we call them 신구, 신발, and 꾸미기, decorating your shoes and customizing your shoes in order to make them your own fashion. So it seems these days, buying something is only half the fun, but making it your own is the real charm.
And I guess that's also why these are all really reasonably priced as well. And I guess it also reflects a trend how young people do want to kind of express themselves in different ways. And this is one place you can do that.
Personalize it.
Right, exactly. So whether you're looking for beads, charms, or the perfect pairs of shoes to customize, Dongdaemun is a dream for anyone who loves to decorate and, like Jiyoung said, personalize. But beyond the shopping, there's another reason young people are drawn to Dongdaemun, the atmosphere itself. So what makes this place different from other popular spots here in Korea?
Well, I think the biggest difference is that Dongdaemun doesn't really feel like it's trying to be trendy. If you go to places like Hongdae or Gangnam, you see a lot of new pop-up stores, trendy cafes, and very polished interiors. And I love those places too, but sometimes they can start to feel a little similar. But Dongdaemun still has a lot of its old character. You have traditional markets, old buildings, small stores, and then DDP right in the middle of all that. So there's this really interesting mix of old and new. It's also relatively affordable compared to a lot of other popular areas in Seoul. And I think the people watching there is actually really fun too. You see people of completely different ages and styles. So someone can be fully dressed and right next to them there's someone walking around in sweatpants and slippers. So it just feels really real and unpredictable. And I think that's probably why younger people find it refreshing. It's trendy now, but it wasn't created to be trendy.
I mean, I fully agree with what Chuyang says. So unlike newer hotspots filled with polished pop-ups and trendy interiors, Dongdaemun's charm comes from its mix of old and new, and the people who bring these streets to life. And it's that unique atmosphere that has already won many Koreans over, and new travelers from all around the world are starting to also view it as a must-visit destination. And to further find out what makes Dongdaemun so appealing to foreign visitors, we're going to be joined by a young guest from China. And that conversation is coming up right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out Channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
We're joined now by Zoe, a young guest from China who considers Dongdaemun one of her favorite places to explore here in Korea. So hello, thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Thank you.
All right, Zoe, so what do you like most about Dongdaemun, and I guess, do you remember the first time you visited that place?
Well, that's a long time ago. I think it's 5 or 6 years ago. I went with my friends from college. Actually, it is like the kind of place we visit the most because it has everything. You can get the foods, the clothes, and everything you want to design. Maybe like these phone cases too. So that's why we visited a lot.
I see, okay. So Joy, then what's one activity every visitor should do in Dongdaemun area?
Well, I think that there is one kind of activity you can do at other countries, other places. They have like the night market. It opens from the night till the next morning, and you can go shopping clothes there, shoes there. Yeah, and you can experience the fashion in Korea there. That is one thing I recommend all foreigners can go and check it out.
That's cool. And what souvenir or unique item can you only find in Dongdaemun? And what do you think makes it different from other shopping areas?
One of the things is the one I mentioned before is the phone case you can design by yourself. And I also heard from my friends you can also design your perfume there. And like necklace, jewelry, you can also design there and make it special for you. And I think it will bring kind of like a memory you cannot even forget in a long time.
Also, you mentioned that you were able to make really a lot of unforgettable memories. So before I let you go, Zoe, can you tell us about your favorite memory at Dongdaemun?
My favorite memory, I think, is the flea market. I once went with my friend in the winter, and as you know, the clothes should be like very expensive for like winter clothes and the coat. But if you go to the flea market at Dongmyo area, it will only cost about like 10,000 won, which is like really, really, really cheap. And I think it is kind of the experience I cannot forget.
All right, well, I hope you'll be able to plan another trip to Dongdaemun soon. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we just heard from Zoe about what she loves the most about Dongdaemun, the experiences she recommends, and the unique souvenirs that make the area so special. But shopping isn't the only reason international visitors are making the trip. So how is Dongdaemun becoming a new favorite this time for Korean beauty fans specifically, Jiyoon?
I think what's interesting is that when we think of K-beauty, we usually think of places like Myeongdong or Seongsu, but DDP is becoming a place where people can discover newer K-beauty brands that they may not have heard of before. So in a way, it's almost like a debut stage for smaller brands. And visitors can actually try the products, get AI skin or scalp analysis, find their personal color, and even try different hairstyles through AR. So I can see why it's becoming popular with foreign visitors. Who are really into K-beauty. You're not just buying something you already know, you can actually discover new brands and try a bunch of different beauty experiences in one place.
Right, so I've actually been to the DDP area and have gone to one of those makeup places, and there's fun activities to do there. You can try it out yourselves, and like you mentioned, you can get your AI skin analysis, and you can also get a goodie bag actually. So I would recommend taking a trip there. So it's not just museums, there's a lot of things to offer at DDP as well. So it sounds like Dongdaemun is becoming much more than a fashion district. It's now a place where visitors can discover the next big thing in Korean beauty. And of course, no conversation about Dongdaemun would be complete without, however, talking about the fashion. So why has it remained the heart of Korean fashion for so long? I know you've been there for Seoul fashion before.
Yes, I didn't actually buy this at Dongdaemun, but they select this for fashion, I think. Well,
great today.
Thank you so much. Well, this is actually Dongdaemun fashion, or it could be, viral in the future. Well, I do believe it's because Dongdaemun has everything. From manufacturing and wholesale markets to designers. And today, Seoul Fashion Week, it's quite trendy. And that fashion ecosystem has been built up over decades and decades. So historically, Dongdaemun grew into a major fashion hub because, they have so many textile and garment factories were based in the area. That's why markets such as Cheilpyeongha Fashion Market and Gwangi Fashion Mall became famous for clothing, particularly wholesale fashion. So back then, if your clothes had a Cheilpyeongha tag, people thought, oh, you know how to wear, you know your fashion. Even today, many Korean online fashion retailers come to Dongdaemun to source clothes in bulk and sell them through their online shopping mall sites. And I've seen this firsthand with friends of mine who run online fashion businesses. They come to Dongdaemun not only to source clothes, but also to keep up with the latest trends. And they actually study fashion over there. So it's a huge fashion ecosystem that operates almost around the clock. And now that K-fashion is gaining momentum, global recognition, more foreign visitors are coming here to shop for themselves. So many are pleasantly surprised by the combination of reasonable prices, Jiyoung also mentioned that, and good quality, and enormous variety of styles. So what I find fascinating is that Dongdaemun covers a whole spectrum of fashion, from wholesale stores and independent designers to the catwalks of Seoul Fashion Week. So if you want to know what's next, just head to Dongdaemun.
That explains also why, during the time of Seoul Fashion Week, especially, you see a lot of fashionable people getting off the subway.
They do.
And there's also people carrying big bags of textile or clothing.
And big flowers like me in the Fashion Week. Yeah.
Right. So see more people that look like you, maybe go to Dongdaemun and be like,
yeah, indeed.
So whether you're looking for wholesale bargains or latest Korean trends, it's easy to see why fashion lovers keep coming back. So before we wrap up, though, let's share a few tips for anyone who is planning a trip visit to Dongdaemun. So, Jiyoung, what are your top tips or biggest tips for foreigners who want to make the most of Dongdaemun and make the best of their experience there?
Oh, good question though. Well, I'll say venture beyond the obvious tourist spots, attractions. Well, Dongdaemun has plenty of hidden gems if you know where to look. Well, start at Dongdaemun, the DDP, Design Plaza, then wander over to Huinjimun Gate, especially beautiful at night, lovely atmosphere, and walk along the old Seoul City Wall for a lovely mix of old and new Seoul. If you are into fashion, explore the smaller markets, the wholesale markets as well, also the big ones as well. And you never quite know what you will stumble upon. And don't miss the local street food. It's often far more interesting once you step away from the main tourist. And one more last tip for you: fashion matters in Dongdaemun. However, comfy shoes are an absolute must.
Because there's just so much to do there.
You've got to walk around.
And I'm glad you mentioned street foods. I was wondering whether I should mention that, because we're talking about fashion, we're talking about beauty, but for me, I think it's the food. Like
Yes.
there's this amazing crepe shop there, and you have to go in early in the mornings or get sold out. So there are a lot of good food there
Lovely.
as well. Like
Definitely,
I
I'll
would
go there.
recommend that you check that out as well. So what are some of your tips?
Well, I'd say same as Jiyeon. Don't think of Dongdaemun just as a shopping place. Walk around the markets, check out DDP, and explore the nearby area as well. There are even secondhand bookstores around Cheonggyecheon that a lot of tourists probably don't know about. So if you go there, you can be like a trendy tourist. And I wouldn't plan everything too strictly. I think Dongdaemun is more fun when you just walk around and see what you end up doing and finding.
Because there's just so much to do, so much to explore there. So Dongdaemun may have a long history, but it's clearly finding a whole new audience today. From vintage finds and Korean fashion to Korean beauty and also hidden gems, there's plenty to discover beyond the usual tour spots. So this just goes to show that sometimes the best way to find what's new is to explore somewhere with a little history. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and discussions. A big thanks to Chuhyun.
Delighted to be here.
And also Chuhyun.
Thank you for having me.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you'll visit Dongdaemun and see why Old Seoul is having a very modern, cool moment. We are News Generation.